What's up, you guys? Good morning, good evening, whatever applies to you. Hope you are staying safe. And today we are going to talk about how to assess, evaluate, and prevent a relapse. This is going to be an interesting topic and an important topic to talk about, right? So I'm going to talk about this 5-step strategy that you can use in order to assess, evaluate, and prevent a relapse, right? Prevent yourself from relapsing, because that's going to be quite a vicious cycle to talk about, right? So the first step is avoid binging. The second step, cold exposure. Third step, self-reflection. Fourth step, the actual assessment process. And the fifth and final step is embracing the new normal. I'm going to talk about each one in depth in this video. So the first step is avoid binging. Why should we do this? That's the important question here. Why should we avoid binging instead of just cutting yourself some slack and restarting the process as a whole tomorrow, right? The reason is that the more loads you bust, the harder it will become for you to recover from that, right? Think of it like this. It's kind of like recovering from a straight set as opposed to recovering from a myo set, right? If you don't have any idea about what a straight set is compared to what a myo set is, after watching this video, just go on YouTube and search those terms. You will be educated about the topic. So the basic point here is that the more you dwell in it, the more loads you bust, the more nuts you bust, the harder it will become for you to recover from that. The more you dig yourself in that hole. So instead of doing that, the first step you should do is avoid binging and keeping that relapse to that one initial nut. And then we go to the second step, which is cold exposure. I cannot tell you the importance of the cold exposure, right? This is more of a refresher that you can use in order to refresh yourself and set your mind straight, just so you can move on to the third and fourth steps, which I will be discussing in unison, because that's more like a process you can do simultaneously, so to speak. So I'm going to discuss those two steps in unison. But when you do that cold exposure thing, scientifically speaking, you will get a healthy amount of dopamine in your brain and a long lasting dopamine kick. But also that will give you your brain a sense of delayed gratification. So all that stuff is good stuff, right? All that is necessary for you to rewire your brain and really set the tone right for your brain. So cold exposure, be it a cold shower, be it a cold bath, be it something else. But cold exposure in itself is really important as a refresher, just so you can move on to the next steps. Then moving on to the third part and fourth part, I'm gonna discuss that in unison, because that's sort of interrelated, right? So third part is self-reflection, and the fourth part is the actual assessment process, right? So first and foremost, I wanna tell you guys that you need to be extremely calm and compassionate and kind to yourself. Think about it like this. If you were to be the accountability partner of someone you love, like the closest person in your life, to tackle an addiction, right? If the closest person to your life is tackling an addiction and you act as the sort of accountability partner for that person, And if that person relapsed and came to you and let you know that he or she relapsed, what would you say? You suck, you are worthless, you are never gonna make it? Or would you actually try to comfort that person and give that person some reassurance, some positive feedback, some sort of positivity that will help that person grow and that will help that person sustain in that journey? What would it be? So if you are kind, if you are that kind to that person, I want you to have that exact same energy to yourself. Then take a journal or a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil or whatever. Sit down with yourself and ask yourself, why did I relapse? What caused me to relapse? Just track and trace back to the very beginning, the core reason of why you relapsed. And then write that down. Write the whole emotional process down. Think about it. Take your time. Now you are refreshed from that cold exposure and things like that. And also now you just showed a little bit of self-love to yourself, right? So now it's time for you to really think about this and take your time to think about why you actually relapsed. Once you got that down, then you have the confidence, then you have the reasons rather, why, as to why you relapsed, and now you have a list of quote unquote symptoms in order to catch it early before you actually relapse. And turn your emotions around and do something really productive instead of just relapsing, right? Then after that's all said and done, the next step would be to ask yourself why you started this, why you are really serious about this process, right? At this point, in this case, if you are in this journey for the sole purpose of attracting women, have more attraction from women, then you completely misrepresent it. And not only that, you are bound to relapse. Trust me, that's how it works. Alright, so the attraction from women should be a side effect of that, not the main goal of this all. It should be a side effect of that all. So if you are serious about this for any type of a right reason to increase your productivity, to better your life in any way, shape or form, to increase your confidence, things like that. If you are in it for those kind of reasons, then write those things down too. Now you have a list of things that led you to a list of symptoms that will show themselves as you go down the path to a relapse, right? On one hand, you have that, and on the other hand, you have a list of reasons as to why you started this process in the first place. So, all in all, you have both these things, and now you have two lists of things that you can use and utilize in order to prevent a relapse. And then moving on to the fifth and final part, embracing the new normal. In this part, I want to first and foremost say that our brains, human brains, cannot compute negatives, right? What do I mean by that? Let's say, for instance, right, if you were to attempt a PR, a personal record in the gym, let's say you attempt a personal record on the deadlift in the gym, right? So if you were to attempt that, then and let's say you set your mind to I'm not gonna fail it, I'm not gonna fail it, I'm not gonna fail it, then all your mind will see is failure. and in that case, most probably you will most probably end up failing, right? There's a huge possibility for you to fail if your mind is focused on that, right? Instead of that, if your mind is focused on the positive side of things, like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna pull this weight off the floor and into a lockout, right? If your mind, like I said, is focused on that positive side of things instead of the negative side of things, then your mind is in the right place. So set your mind into that positive state, right? Focus on that positive side. So you might ask, how would that example translate into this, transit into the scenario that we are talking about, right? That's a good question. That's a valid question. So let's say you focus on the no fap, right? Not masturbating, not watching pornography. So if that's the case, if you are focused on that, your mind will focus on pornography, your mind will focus on fapping, your mind will focus on just busting a lot, right? So instead of that, focus on being present in this moment, focus on successfully retaining your semen, focus on disciplining yourself in order to have that sustainability in your journey, without too much being too focused on no fap, right? You should be focusing on the positive thing that you do. I'm gonna be more productive, I'm gonna retain my semen, I'm gonna retain my sexual energy and transmute my sexual energy into other productive things, right? Those are the things that you should be focusing on, not no fap, not refraining yourself from fapping, or not refraining yourself from watching porn. That's not where your mind should be. So let's make another analogy for this matter, right? If you're gonna run down a hill in a forest, right? You should be focusing on running down the clear pathways. Running down the clear pathways. That's what you should be focusing on. Not avoiding trees, not avoiding obstacles, right? If you are focused, however, on avoiding obstacles in your way, you will miss out the whole purpose of that, and you will only see trees, you will only see obstacles in your way, and before you know it, you'll just get face planted into a tree. You will find yourself face planted into a tree, or tumbled upon a rock, or something like that, or something like rolling down the hill, getting whacked into trees and trees and rocks and shit like that, basically like a pinball machine, right? So don't do that. If you, like I said, wanna run down a hill in a forest, you should be focusing on the clear path that you can step onto and run down the hill successfully, not the obstacles. That exact theory applies to life. Always focus on the positive thing that you should do, rather than not doing the negative thing, which will shift your focus into negativity, which will also make you kind of go down in that negative pathway. So the only way to prevent that is to focus on the positive thing that you should do, not the negative thing that you shouldn't do. With that being said, I'm gonna end the video right here. Like as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It helps me out a lot. So until next time, I'm high value guy, and may the Triple Gem bless you.